Welcome to Good Game Edmonton, where we explore the culture of gaming and esports in the City of Champions. And of course, I'm your host, Cellarcast. Joining me on this episode is Carlo Martin. He's the Business Development Officer at NorQuest College. And for this particular episode, for the next two, as a matter of fact, we're switching things up a little bit. I've traded my dining room table for the Innovation Studio here at NorQuest College campus. Carlo, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so glad we could make this work. Let's dive right into it. Tell me about the inception of NorQuest Esports. What did those early days look like? How did it align with your role in the college and, factoring in, outside sources like the provincial esports strategy and, things like that?
Well, it started in 2020. Like a lot of people think that it starts during the pandemic because, it was the pandemic. Right. It started actually a little bit before that. A group of administrators here at the college wanted to bring in esports as a form of an athletic program. And then I came in around 2021 as the business development officer for Business Enterprise, which handles esports. And by that time, esports has already been through a couple of, presentations, board meetings, and it's already part of the 2030 NorQuest strategy. And we got a lot of different things throughout the years that has been passed, right? It's 2024 now. We've got through the pandemic and everything.
Yeah.
So there's been different forms of NorQuest Esports. And when I came in was during the pandemic. So NorQuest Esports was doing a little bit of online tournaments, right? I think in the year of 2021, NorQuest Esports sponsored about $15,000 worth of prizing for online tournaments that was hosted for Canadians. And then when I started, there was about 4 Xboxes and 4 TVs. And if you ever been to NorQuest recently, we're close to 40 units for desktops and 15 consoles, give and take.
Yeah.
I think. If my math's not wrong. And we do esports productions. We got varsity now. We have an academic project going on with the government of Alberta. And the Alberta Esports strategy, we really love that part where it's the place to play. We welcome a lot of the communities surrounding Edmonton as somewhere where they can activate esports.
Right. Now, you talk about those first few consoles that you had. Like, was it in the same space that you are in now, or where did that actually originate? Where you were setting things up to start those activations for NorQuest Esports?
Well, it is in the Innovation Studio where it all started.
Okay.
We commandeered one of the boardrooms that was originally in the Innovation Studio. It is now an esports lab.
Okay.
And specifically, we've designed it for varsity members. It's the place where we reserve it, and we have we've catered to all their needs in terms of competing at the best that they can. It was there, but there was no gaming chair. There was no sit stand. There's no high refresh monitors. It was 4 TVs, 4 Xboxes.
I mean, you've come a long way, I feel. You've certainly come a long way. And I guess, speaking to that, you talk about, how it's evolved and stuff, but I guess, talk a little bit more about, that recognition both on and off campus to what the program encompasses and what it provides for students, whether it's in person or virtual.
Right. So we've done a lot of things throughout the years to get where we are. Right. And that's very important when you ask that question, because we've started by catering to our own community first. FIFA was actually our first big game, right? It was during the World Cup run for Canada that we started our first in-person event. It was right after the lockdowns were lifted. And we just offered with our 4 Xboxes a FIFA drop-in, not even a tournament, just a drop-in, right? And we had close to 100 people drop by, and 28 of them were like, "Where's the tournament?" So at that point, we were like, "Cool, if you guys give us 45 minutes, we'll give you a tournament."
Yeah.
And so that's when we really saw the need for seeing other people of the same interest, same passion, right?
Yeah.
So we started doing drop-in gaming more for our students. And we saw that people also wanted to see what that felt like, right? Having esports at a post-secondary institution. And so we opened that up to our community, right? To different clubs, to different high schools. So we've had different high schools come here for almost like a field trip. And then now we're also opening up our facility to our youth league, right? 13 to 18. They can play esports here. It'll be run by us. So, yeah, like we like to do what our community tells us.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So like right now, what our community wants is more of Edmonton stuff. Right. The opportunity for, let's say, the Edmonton Fighting Game Club, for them to be doing their Fight Quest here, for them to have their Fight Quest at GameCon Canada, those kind of stuff.
Right.
So we like to bring it back.
Right. Yeah. And I guess now, looking at this year, 2024, what specifically, let's dive a little deeper into that. What's been happening this year that's been going on, from spring to getting into the fall now? Like what's been happening that you've been really proud of to see things coming to fruition and everything?
Yeah. So I've had this 2024 was the start of me having 2 full-time coordinators.
That helps.
So Noah and Avala joined the team, and we've gotten to be able to take care of all the things that are important to NorQuest Esports, our students, the community, our marketing, our recruitment, and our production.
Right.
So now I have these 2 great individuals that can help me activate all the crazy stuff that I want to do, right?
Like host podcasts.
Host podcasts, right? Like, we know Noah's over there.
Shout out to Noah.
So to Noah. And then like I now have the ability to expand on our varsity. That's why you saw a new NorQuest Heroes logo.
There we go.
Yeah. We did GameCon with full force production on not just our own stuff, but we were hired to do stuff for MSI, for GameCon Canada, for production stuff over there. And it's all churning, right? All these little things that we were doing foundational work,
right,
has now started to really come out. And so we've also been hard at work doing our summer camp during summer, right? But also now releasing our youth league. And if you ask me what I'm proud of, is I'm proud that we don't stop, right? We're never going to stop.
Yeah.
We really want to go and do more stuff for the people that matters to NorQuest Esports, and that's the people that join us.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, by all means, don't stop. Keep at it. Stay the course. You talked about the youth league. What's the name of the youth league?
It's Campus Clash.
Campus Clash. Tell me a little more about that. How does that all work, and what's happening with that? Why should students join that?
Esports in post-secondary in K to 12, it's not as established as your regular sports would be, right? Parents and families don't know how organized play would look like, similar to a volleyball league or a club like in Edmonton would be. So we've heard these things from the educators that we connect with, from the high schools that we host for their tournaments and all that kind of stuff. And it really does go back to a place to play. So we've thought about, how do we cater to that, right? Like, do we just keep hosting tournaments? Yes, but also, what are the things that we can do better? Not every high school or junior high in Edmonton has access to at least somebody that's trying to make an esports club.
Right.
Or let alone have an athletic department recognize esports as an athletic program. Yeah. So we wanted to make sure that there's a little bit of everything that we can offer to either just as an individual or a group of friends from different schools to just want to make teams, because we've done that for our tournaments, to schools that want to represent their schools in a competitive league in-house. And we're not doing it for just 2 months or 2 weekends or a couple weekends.
Yeah.
We're starting to go to think bigger. We want to do this for 6 months, beginning in October and ending all the way to April. And with that, a lot of things, right? Like, first few months, we'll figure out the skill differences.
Right. Yeah.
And make sure that it's not just one bracket for one title.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because
break it up. Because you got different games and everything. So,
different games and different skills.
Everyone's got different skill sets.
Yeah.
What they excel at. Maybe even just like wanting to try out different things. If maybe they're good at one particular game that you guys are offering, they don't want to focus on that one. They want to kind of build up their skill set on another game.
Yes.
Said kind of thing.
Yeah. And we have 5 titles.
Okay.
Right? We're doing Valorant, League of Legends, Tekken 8, Smash Bros, and Rocket League. And hopefully we'll be able to do more.
Okay.
But we really wanted to solve the whole, how do I play? So that's why we're letting people sign up by themselves or numerous ways. All right. And yeah, the registration does have a cost to it, like $200 per youth, but you get to play for 6 months. You get to use our facilities. You get access to OTB academies. And also, we're designing jerseys for you to take home.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And you get to play all the way to playoffs. Guaranteed.
Kind of a two-parter. First off, I'll speak to the jersey, like, being able to buy, being able to get that jersey as part of your fees and stuff. Kind of talk a little bit about the significance of that, what you feel that means for those students, for those players when they join this youth league.
Well, as I mentioned, we've done numerous tournaments for different high schools and really the high school level,
right?
The youth, 13 to 18.
Yeah.
And there's some high schools that actually have quite a bit of support from very strong teachers that have really worked for what they have for esports. And they have jerseys, and some people don't. And what we've always strived for when we're hosting our friends from different high schools and junior highs and even, different colleges is that the experience matters the most, right? When you're in for an esports tournament, we're not just, all right, you get to play over there and then you're playing against these guys.
Yeah.
All right. We're talking about your experience from sign up to onboarding to media day to interviews to having your own lanyard that says competitor with your name on it, and we knew that you were coming, and the streaming production, the production of the tournament itself, right? Your experience of where do I go and who am I competing with and to what you get for winning, right? So for us, the first thing that we wanted to do, because we're going to be constantly evolving this youth league to whatever our community wants it to go to. Yeah. But we wanted to start with a jersey, right? It's the first season. We wanted to start with our jersey that we're going to be designing for Campus Clash this year. We're working with Jersey Bird. And people can customize it on their own. And if it's a school team, they can put it on. So we're trying to take care of things that can be taken care of.
Yeah.
One less thing to worry about
Right.
for esports teams or clubs or just friends that want to play, right? And it might not be important for some people. It might be very important for some people, but we like to do things really good. So that's one of the things that we've focused on outside of, making sure the brackets are going to be good, the scheduling is going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about the significance of being able to have participants take home that jersey.
Yeah.
Part of their, obviously, it's covering the cost. You put in the fee.
It's a significant part of the cost.
What does it mean? What do you think it would? What do you think that meaning is for the participants to take home that jersey?
Well, it's got a couple of meanings.
Yeah.
Because again, right, like when we do campus clash, just as the normal tournaments, because now we're turning it into a league, right?
Right.
When we're doing interviews, I really wish that they had the jerseys, because I saw what JP had. JP has jerseys, right? They have team jerseys, and it gets used throughout the year because that's a sustainable way to do that, right? And then in our research and asking the teachers their experience in different leagues and stuff, most of the time you have to give back your jersey, right? And I didn't want that. Like, I want them to be proud, not just because they're joining a league or they're competing or they're going to win in the league. Like, really, they're going to be part of history. It's going to be a first esports youth league for Edmonton. And I want them to be able to have that piece, right? Because not only are we going to have prizing at one point, but you already have that already as just joining. And, I'm a little bit sentimental. That's why I really wanted to make sure that you take that jersey home. And the best thing, too, is that you keep the jersey. If you're joining us next year, you don't have to buy a new jersey.
You already have it.
Exactly. Right? Until we make a new design.
Until we make a new design.
We want to make new designs, right? But again, first year, we want to make sure that everybody gets that experience. Really, place to play, right? Part of the Alberta esports strategy and everything, right? We want to be an esports hub. City Council wants that.
Yeah.
Councilor Knack loves visiting our space, right?
Has he played some?
He hasn't. He's always, I think the 2 times, is it twice that he's been here? The one that I can remember, we put him through different things through the college, right? He was at GameCon. He did see it. And Mayor Sohi saw our stuff too, and it's just exciting. It really is, and I can't wait for our students to experience it, because if they've ever been in our campus clash, there's a certain bar.
Yeah.
Right? We've set a certain bar, and this time it can't be anything close to that bar. It has to be higher.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to it. It's a lot of work. I threw it at our team this year, and they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah.
Why not? Why not? Hey, aside from the competitive play of the program and everything, is there other opportunities that students can take advantage of to help develop their skill set, not just as players, but as being part of a team, whether it's actually getting their hands on the experience of the broadcasting side, the event planning, management, and of course, all those other parallels to traditional sports, arguably.
Yes, so those definitely came up.
Okay.
For first season of Campus Clash, but right now what we're really focusing on is a good start.
Right.
Right. But in the previous years, we've actually done what we called the Summer Slam.
Okay.
Which is our IDM-centric summer camps for, again, youths 15 to 18. And this year they learned how to do a lot of things outside of just streaming and production and all that kind of stuff. They learned how to make accessible gaming controllers from Makers Make and Change. They've learned how to turn streaming or their passion from gaming or even their passion in just drawing how does that actually look like in terms of a business, right?
Right.
So all of that, like we've always had that in the mix for NorQuest Esports. If you're a NorQuester or somebody else that's not, or if you're a community member, or if you're a high school student, we do it.
Right.
But for officially for Campus Clash, it's not part of it yet. But there's definitely really good room for our high school friends that already have their media clubs anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe they're in charge of streaming, or they get to learn from our pros on how does streaming work in terms of a multi-room tournament, right? Or just production level. What goes behind a computer is way more than what you're doing like in front of the computer during a stream.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Like
or a podcast.
You're a podcaster, right? So
yeah.
So like stuff like that, we're definitely thinking about like how does that come into play for Campus Clash in the future. Right. We always see new talent, right? Like we met amazing kids that have like such potential in terms of like being a shoutcaster. And they were here for SummerSlam and they were great. So we're looking forward to using all these talent that you can find in Edmonton, not just in competitive gaming, but actually the stuff that makes esports complete.
Right. And from the post-secondary level as well as the high school level with the youth team, with the youth league, and the summer camp and stuff. What's been some of the responses that you've gotten from the students? What's been the feedback? Like what have been some of the key things that have stood out?
Well, on the NorQuest side of things, we have a very diverse population. Yeah. You can find young students from just graduated from high school to students of maturity age already. Right. 40 plus. I think I met somebody 43.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the most common thing is like, whoa, this is a thing? Right? Like,
yes.
Yeah. It's quite unique in the space here in Edmonton, and we're very aware of the uniqueness and privilege and luckiness that we have. So we like to share that, and we like to help as much as possible and give advice or however that is.
Yeah.
Right. And just do whatever we can.
Right.
Like everybody's welcome. So.
Awesome. And talking about the youth piece as well. Yeah. Inviting high school students, recently graduated from high school students, talking about the perspective of parents and getting that buy-in, because obviously that's huge. And even in 2024, we still find that sort of mixed emotions, mixed feelings around video games, around competitive gaming with parents. But what did you get a sense of the reaction, the responses from
the usual
parents?
hesitation?
Well, the mix of both, but also like you said, with the students' perspective, the realization of this is a thing. Yeah. Like this is really cool. Yeah. So what was some of the things that you got from parents?
Well, as usual, you will find hesitation.
Right.
And again, that's hard to change.
Yeah.
It's our job to just inform them of what we can. But I like to focus on, the really cool stuff that happens with the stuff that we
providing that validation for them. Yeah. And this is more than what you probably think.
There was a couple of students this summer that the focus of their parents wasn't to just let them game. They actually wanted to make sure that they have that social aspect, which is key to all that we do.
Right.
And we saw children that were very kept to themselves, very quiet.
Yep.
From the beginning.
Yep.
To at the end, you can see the stuff that they have on our Instagram and how active they became and how much socializing and looking forward to every day that they were here turned to a different side of them. Right. And that was one of the big things for these parents. And having that validation, having that show, that example, that proof, like that's what I tell the people that are hesitant, because you can't really change somebody's opinion until they see it for themselves.
Right.
Right. There's only so much, speaking from a soapbox, you can do. But
Fair.
We just need to make sure that we are taking care of these, young, full of talent and full of potential, and what we can give them and what does that look for them in the future.
Right. Strong experience, sense of belonging, finding their place, because maybe, not many other things felt like they belonged. This is that opportunity. So
helping them become a good person.
Exactly. Yeah.
Through like esports, even though a lot of people think it's all just violence and all that kind of stuff, like the amount of change that these kids went through this summer is incredible. Like we can talk about that at just that subject in one podcast. Like it's really cool. We're looking forward to the next summer.
Yep.
And how we translate that again, because that's how we do things, right? We find something that's good. How can we make it better?
Right. Quickly on that, and then we'll move on. But obviously you talk about doing it again next summer. Like what do you feel could be a little bit different, just to maybe
hopefully we get a little bit more in terms of participation numbers, so that we can bring in more diverse teaching and guests and all that kind of stuff, because we're limited with the amount of numbers we get. Right. So this year we had, I would like to say 18, 20, I got signaled, 20 students from different high schools this year. And they want to come back, even not just in the summer, like this fall and this winter, right?
Right.
But like, how does that look like? How are we ready, right? Like can't just say cool, right? Like we need to make sure that what that looks like is actually better than what they know.
Yeah.
Right. So for next year, what we want is a little bit more numbers, right? But we still want that attention to detail that our teachers have for each individual student, because that's really important. Mm-hmm. Like you can't just stick X amount of students in one classroom and one person, and what are they taking away, right?
Yeah.
So we still want to keep that quality.
Right.
But that's kind of what's next, right? Like basically, how do we get bigger?
Yeah. No, 100%. And I guess, to be able to let folks join that journey and to follow along, where can folks go to get more info about NorQuest Esports and, all those other opportunities?
Yeah, we're all on the socials, right? We have X, Instagram, YouTube now too. We're also on Twitch. That's where we host all of our live stream. The previous tournaments are going to be there. If ever we're doing any kind of production that we can stream on our own channel, because usually productions for different channel, we put it out there as well. But norquest.ca/esports is our website.
Okay.
Right.
Perfect.
So, we're here.
Yeah. No, 100%.
I actually would strongly encourage more people, if they're listening and they are in the area, to come visit us, right? Because drop-in starts in October, and that's welcome for everybody. You can come play.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. You heard it. NorQuest Esports, norquest.ca/esports.
Yes.
Leaning more into the business side of things now. Yes. Switching gears from B2C to B2B. Like any good business model, of course, you're obviously aware of this with your role. We look at sustainability, and I'm curious, how has NorQuest Esports remained sustainable on campus?
It started from the beginning.
Right.
Again, it started from a group of administrators putting forward a business plan, seeing how it could be part of the fabric of NorQuest College. So that involves, what does that look like in X amount of dollars as an operating budget rather than a project or something we look for granting.
Right.
So that's one piece of the sustainability part, where part of our budget for the college. The other part is what you make with the connections, the partnerships. And I'm not talking about just what do you get for free stuff or people giving you sponsorships, because there is that, but that's not where the sustainability comes from.
Right.
Sustainability comes from how do you like nurture those relationships, and what can you do to grow with those brands, to grow with those organizations or those community members. Right. But at the end of the day, that's really for us. It's hard to give a copy paste situation for a lot of things.
Right. So there really isn't necessarily like a template that, other post-secondaries could follow per se, but is there at least a little bit of something there? But
yeah, I mean, as I've alluded already, like the support from our administration all the way from the board,
that factors in.
That's 100%. A big thing, right?
Yeah,
because that means your school, your whole post-secondary is bought in. Right? They're there to see where we can come up with good collaboration and where we can find resources that you didn't really think about, but how we can take advantage of that. Right. So that's something that I think if you can figure that out, then that's really something that, that's how we did it.
Yeah.
It's just that the way that it would work in your college or in your school or your PSI or high school is just going to be very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about the connections, the community stakeholders, community-led members. Looking at this from a community level, like anything really, when we talk about new developments like this, what do you believe can be common misconceptions when you go into look at this development? What are people missing? As to like why there's not more of this clear establishment, as a thriving ecosystem for esports in Edmonton.
It is relatively new.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like it's relatively new.
But still, like, you guys are definitely moving at a very steady pace.
Yeah, we are.
And compared to so many other groups and stuff.
And it's, it's cool. Really, we're really thankful that we can. It's because of the people that really work for it. Right. Like, I'm usually in front of the camera. I'm usually talking to people and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But, like, there really is a lot of people behind this machine.
Yeah.
And not just from my own team, but really coming back from the college, right? Like, it's really cool when you get to see your team members that you don't really like touch base with on a daily basis,
right?
And they're aware of what effect esports is bringing to them,
right?
But I think a common misconception maybe that a lot of people think is that you get free stuff, right, with esports.
Nope.
It's simple as this. Sponsorships are marketing strategies for different brands.
Yeah.
You get X amount of money or a product or in-kind anything, and they expect X amount of stuff from you.
Right.
And it's in a good deal. It's a deal that's advantageous for both.
Right.
But there's still an exchange of sorts.
So I can't just ask for some free Red Bull and expect there's no other expectation from me, really? That's what you're saying, right?
Well, you used to be able to. Right. You used to be able to. We used to engage with Red Bull. Like, we're a Pepsi company now.
Okay.
Pepsi campus.
Okay.
Right. And so we're trying to figure out different things to see where we can go with that. But you can definitely get free Red Bull.
That's what's missing here.
Like some Red Bull right here, or some Pepsi.
I mean, I feel like to stick to the gaming mentality, a nice Red Bull would probably do the trick. But that's just
caffeine, right?
I mean, it's a problem.
It is, and
it's a good problem.
Those are the things that, like, we can roll back a little.
Yeah.
Onto, like, what do we teach?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because like one of the things that really shocked me the first time we had varsity was the amount of energy drinks my athletes were drinking.
Probably not the best thing.
Well, they're students, right?
water?
Like I remember when I was a student, like I didn't drink coffee, but I did definitely drink pop. Right? And maybe some energy drinks here and there, and depends on.
It was coffee and energy drinks for me in college. So yeah.
Right? So I get it, but like it was quite the shock again when I saw it, because like you got coffee, you got a big can of whatever energy drink you want, and they're just chugging it like it's
just
nothing.
Water.
Yeah. So like I've always just kind of like give them a little bit of the facts that like that equals to X amount of sugar and your body processes, like that kind of stuff, right? It's really like interesting what kind of partnerships you do and what you promote, especially if you're in education.
Right.
Right.
There's the nutrition factor. There's the health and wellness factors too.
And like, that's really something we're a little bit proud of in terms of who we're working with. Right. Okay. Like we know we affect people, right? The stuff that we do.
Yeah.
And we want to be mindful and very deliberate on who we show people, right? What brands we show people.
Right.
Because it takes like one quick thing to really turn things around.
Yeah.
And
they'll see one thing and if they don't like it, they'll keep scrolling.
And it'll be like a very bad part for, as quick as we go, it's also could be as quick as we just disappear because of some minor mistake, right? But yeah, that's free stuff.
Yeah,
that's true. That's still true right now. Like you could still get free stuff as a consumer in an esports or a gaming event, all that kind of stuff. But as a esports organization, it's never free. And, sometimes it's views.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's money, right? And how do you find that money and how do you navigate that kind of stuff? That's really just goes back on your relationship with them.
Yeah.
And what do they expect? And like, what does the next activation look like?
Right.
Right? Because if it's just one-off, well, first of all, it's going to be very hard for your organization to find people if they're just looking for one-off stuff.
Yeah.
That's one big tip. And, that's very common.
Yeah.
Right? Like everybody kind of knows that people aren't just looking for one thing.
Right. No, that's a good point. And I want to go back to, the thing you mentioned about like, what are we teaching? What are we providing to the students and stuff? Yeah. And I kind of want to maybe hone in on a few of those other pieces. Like you talk about the partnerships and stuff, what aspects of, nutrition, health and wellness and stuff that you can speak to that, is a part of this to make sure that, we're living up to that. This is just as valid as any other sport that you'd be going for, at the post-secondary level, at the high school level and such.
We definitely have kind of a range of different types with our athletes and the people that play here at NorQuest.
Yeah.
I have literally had a high school student this summer remind me that I need to go and have lunch because I don't, right?
Yeah.
Like I usually skip lunch, and I've had to remind people to get up.
Stand up. My watch tells me to stand up every so often. And
to get up and like stretch a little.
Yeah.
It's actually something we're looking into for the league is how do we add more health initiatives into the gaming side of things, because you need to be very healthy to be very good.
Right.
Right.
Yep. Part of the training aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just goes for any athlete.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a lot of the things that our OTB academies from partnership with Jacob, that's the stuff that he like preaches, right? Because it's so important and it's so easy to forget the things that you're supposed to do as just an average person.
Yeah.
But because you're so distracted, you're so into the mix of things, it's quite easy to forget. But, it's our job to remind not just our students, but also us, like the administrators here at NorQuest, because sometimes we don't take breaks.
Yeah.
We're so in the mix of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's good to learn from us, but it's also, we learn from them as well.
Right. Yeah.
But whatever the future of health in esports looks like, it's quite important. I'm really hoping that, it keeps going.
Right.
Right. Like that mentality that it's not about being good at clicking.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about how you take care of yourself so that you can keep on clicking.
Yeah. Cool. I love that. And I guess to kind of work off of that, as we go along, you talk about, the future of health and everything, is it sort of a nice, healthy mixture of looking at the industry as a whole as to what's going on within esports in other areas across the country, across the continent, versus, say, looking within on what's going on the research side, in the, the traditional health program and stuff, and
Gary NorQuest.
Right. So like looking at the institutional side and the research side at that level, like is it a mix of that in terms of what you can adopt and incorporate for the players and the participants,
right,
for the program, would you say?
So as I mentioned, we are in NorQuest, and
right,
we're quite heavy in terms of health programs, right?
Okay.
Like LPN, healthcare.
Yeah.
So a lot of our athletes are in that program.
Okay. Fair.
So they're quite aware of the things that they should.
Hence why they're reminding you to eat and stuff.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But also
but for the students that aren't necessarily in those programs, obviously that reminder.
I think we need to do a little bit more.
Okay.
As administrators, it's not like as simple as like, get up, stand up, or stretch. It really is a habit that you need to do. You can't just get up, play video games, go to sleep.
Right. Yep.
I mean, obviously people do that.
Yeah.
But is that the future of gaming? Is that the future of gaming and education? Definitely not. Right.
So really bringing in those like specialists to come in and kind of demonstrate to them, whether it's in a training capacity or demonstration capacity.
I'm not too sure in terms of the, in the post-secondary world, in terms of research, where we're at in that kind of sense.
Okay.
I'd be very curious to see if there's, because we're at a time, like just as a society, where health is quite important, right? We're quite lucky as Canadians to be able to take care of our health or focus on our health. Right, that's already a thing.
Yeah.
I'm just quite curious if there's any kind of research that's already been done to like pinpoint that being Canadian part and into the gaming space.
Right.
Right, because we're not just gamers. Canada's homes to the small, to the big, to the medium developers for gaming as well. Right, like, so what are they doing?
Right.
Right? Like, so I'm quite curious in seeing that kind of stuff, like in that kind of news. I've definitely heard from our partners that they're curious about that kind of research as well.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds like a potential episode to explore nonetheless. But yeah, no, I appreciate that. And, kind of looking back from those early days to this year, what has been, not to be corny with the title of the show, what's been a GG moment that will live in your mind rent free?
Right now,
if you can narrow, as of this moment, what is a GG moment that will live in your mind rent free?
the effect that we get from our graduates, like our varsity, we have alumni at this point, right? Like we're a 2-year program at most, so we have had alumni already. And the fact that they would come back, participate in our drop-in, tell us how much this changed their life, yeah, that's GG, plain and simple. Like, it feels good to help wherever we can. And it's a very selfish thing to feel good about that, but like, yeah, for me, that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud of the people we affect.
Yeah. That's huge. So, I mean, keep doing what you're doing. Like, it goes without saying, but seriously,
I got a lot of help now, so
that goes a long way. That goes a long way. Yeah, no, I guess, before we wrap it, like, is there, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like, is there anything else that
we can all win? Nobody's needing to do first, because we're never going to be first. Who's first? People in the States, people in Asia, Europe, because they're already going.
Yeah.
But like, there's lots to talk about, and
I know.
We've got 2 and 3 coming up, right? Like,
that's right, we do.
Yeah,
2 and 3.
We can't talk about everything today.
No, that's true. No, fair enough. Well, how about this? Well, we'll call it there. We'll call it here. Like we mentioned, we got part 2 and 3 coming, so stick around for those. Appreciate the time and, of course, the space. Glad we can make this work. And I also want to give a shout out to Noah, who's in behind the scenes here. And of course, anyone looking to learn about NorQuest Esports or Campus Clash for that matter, you can visit norquest.ca/esports or send them an email, esports@norquest.ca. And as we, of course, have mentioned, the conversation with NorQuest Esports is not over. This was only part 1 of the series. Part 2 is when we'll hear firsthand from the students' perspective. And to complete this trilogy, we'll find out what the future holds at NorQuest Esports and what students can expect on and off campus. So stay tuned. And as if the fun didn't stop there, as you're listening to this episode, we'll have launched the show's official website for all episodes, joining in on the conversation, along with community resources around esports, game development, and more. You can go to goodgameyeg.ca. And lastly, if you enjoyed this episode, please rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Cellarcast out.